Hello, this is Dan Nowman Niswander, and you are watching The Nowman Show. In 2017, I had the opportunity to interview the late, great Emmy Award winning legendary actor, Ed Asner, at Politicon in Pasadena. And he passed away in 2021, and I thought it was a fitting tribute to replay this episode. We spent some time together. No, we didn't talk about the Mary Tyler Moore Show or Lou Grant or even winning the Oscar for doing the voiceover on the animated film Up. We talked about the corruption in the political system, electoral politics, and how we can make the world a better place. And Ed has spent a lot of his life with that very kind of idea of making the world a better place. And also joining the conversation is Christina Tobin, the founder of Free and Equal Elections, who herself has done a lot of great work, even with Ed, in helping to get third-party candidates on ballots all around the country. She also moderated a third-party presidential debate in 2016 with Larry King, also who passed away, and in 2020 with Ed. And joining the conversation as well is educator George Kallas from San Diego. So here is my tribute, the Nowman Show tribute to the late, great Ed Asner. You are watching the Nowman Show, and I am here at Politicon with Ed Asner and Christina Tobin. And first of all, Ed Asner is, of course, a TV, film, voiceover actor, as well as a longtime activist. And Christina Tobin is the founder of Free and Equal Incorporated. We're going to get into what all of this is all about and talk about where we are right now in political and economic crisis in this country. So thank you very much for joining us, and it's an honor to have you both here. For those of you who might not know Mr. Asner's career, he's won multiple Emmys, television programs such as Mary Tyler Moore and Lou Grant. We played the same character.
The checkered one.
The checkered one, yeah. That's what the Hollywood Reporter would say, right? Yeah. And for those younger, if you're into animation, he was also the voice you heard in Up, which was also an Academy Award-winning film recently. And Christina's been involved. We can talk in more detail. You can explain it. Yeah. How you've been involved in third parties and supporting independence, etc. First of all, you just finished a talk here at Politicon, and I have a quote here of you said, "We are living a lie. Our day of reckoning is now here." Can you elaborate on that?
Did she say that or did I?
You said that.
Oh, I can't believe I said that.
I don't know.
We got it on tape. So.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's a printing error. Well, we are living a lie, don't you think?
Yeah.
We are in a facade.
Because we don't represent the people that we have in this country. Our voting percentages are sucky.
Yeah.
They're sucky, and we keep finding, in this particular case, the Republicans keep creating voting machine problems, question the constant gerrymandering of districts, both locally and statewide, and unless the people rise up and say enough, because we're even corrupting the courts now.
That's right.
And this latest edition, what's his name? Strange name. To the
Scaramucci?
No, not that joker. The latest justice, Supreme Court justice. What's his name? See, kind of Americans are. You don't even know.
Yeah, I know.
Best to replace them all, Ed.
Yeah, I know that there's so many that, but you know
It is an illusion, though.
It is an
I agree,
illusion.
a facade that we've been living in. Just the reality is that the two-party system has not been serving we, the people. And so until and when we rise together as a nation, as a world, as a country world, that's when we're going to bring about real change, believing in change and hope. That's where we stand at with Ed and being a supporter of Free and Equal Elections Foundation, which I founded, but it's for the people. This foundation's for you guys. And so that's really, consciousness is rising, and
Yes.
we are seeing what's real, what isn't real, and that's why we're here today with media like you. We find you to be real media,
Yes.
telling the real truth of the people out there. So, and Ed as well, Bill's joining us for that.
You think
reason.
America should rule the world?
No.
No.
I think that the people should maybe come together and really not allow narcissistic
Well, you're supposed to have a thing
sociopathic
called the UN
politicians
for
to run
that,
our country.
Isn't that what-
UN's not something.
UN's not going to do that.
Then what do you want to create that's going to be better than the UN?
Free and equal elections. Article 1, Section 3 of
And
the
you're going to be able to
Constitution.
see that it's done throughout the world.
All elections shall be free and equal, yes. But we've got to fix the United States of America first.
What about
The whole world's
proportional
watching us.
representation? Does that enter into fair and equal?
Yes.
Yes.
Free and equal elections, proportional representation, I feel is
Ranked
probably-
choice voting?
Alternative voting methods are solutions. So many people are talking about all the problems, the left and right, the divide. A lot of panels here
Yeah.
at Politicon
Yeah.
are that way. But I think more in the future are going to be about uniting and solutions and coming together. So definitely going in that direction.
But you know, one of the things that you don't see in Europe, which we see here, is like Citizens United, which opened the floodgates to private money coming into our process. You know, I've interviewed people even on this show that will tell me, like in the Netherlands, for instance, lobbying money, private money going into the government is actually illegal, and you go to prison. And yet, it's the natural way of how business is done here. And obviously,
Why, the Netherlands is such a little country
oh,
and has leakage problems. We don't have any of that.
oh, do we?
Do you want to become the Netherlands? You're going to have to put up dams and dikes,
Oh, that's true, eh?
you know?
Yeah.
You keep out the water.
Yeah.
Not fun.
That's not fun. Yeah,
And there ain't much profit in it either.
yeah.
Well, maybe you can make an analogy that we're putting up dams and dikes to democracy through the system that we have. That's why it's in a crisis.
Oh, but those are okay.
Because we have the electoral college. Now, what is the plan to go through the electoral system institutionally? What have you proposed?
On the judicial side, last I checked, it's a two-party system
Right.
that
Yeah.
chooses who runs our judicial system, which is flawed. I mean, the fact
Okay.
the prison systems are primarily filled with people because of past possession of marijuana. I mean, there's so much greed
yes.
and money, and then pharmaceutical, it's a whole nother thing. But as far as on the electoral side and institutionalized, I love that you brought up proportional representation. Talking about different alternative voting methods like score voting and approval voting, ranked choice voting, which is also known as instant runoff voting, which I think the Grammys used that. Maine just passed it.
Oh,
I
really?
see it spreading throughout the U.S. very quickly.
What's that, proportional?
Yes.
Proportional.
Yes, I mean, that is something very dear for over 10 years. I've been manifesting and through free and equal elections. That's something I feel that would really
So you're
serve our
starting
elections.
your strategy at the grassroots level, state, local, regional.
Yes, real change. A wise man once taught me by the name of Mr. Ed Asner.
Oh, God.
At our
Not him
candidates
again.
forum in Cambria, California, where we're headquartered, real change starts from the bottom up.
Has to.
Gotta run for local office, and that's
That's
when you
right.
get into the
You gotta get
youth
your
and
hands
getting
dirty.
That's right.
involved.
Well, as far as third parties are concerned, there's the one I talked to Michael Feinstein,
Yeah, I know.
who is he's been in the Green Party here in California since the
He was the mayor
1990s.
of
He was the
Santa
mayor
Monica.
of Santa Monica. Over 1,000.
Not the
people-
piano player.
No, not the different guy. Different guy. Yeah. People ask me that too, like, oh, the piano player. No, this is a different guy. He says that over 300 Greens have been elected to local offices in California alone, over 1,000 nationwide since the 90s. And they do have, here and now, an infrastructure in place. You know, where, as you mentioned earlier, it's outrageous to have so much money just to get somebody on the ballot. What is that about?
Well, that's ballot access. In the 1890s, I think through the Australian ballot, it came about where they decided we're going to require a certain amount of signatures for candidates to get on the ballot.
Yeah.
And it just sometimes, or often, or pretty much always, is more signatures for third parties and independent candidates. So that's more of the stranglehold, the rigged system that, yes, Trump and Sanders touched into, but they didn't go into it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
back into the voting methods, the ballot access, the closed presidential debates, the
Yep.
Commission on Presidential Debates, and so on, gerrymandering. These are things that we will fix. We have to. The latter's not an option.
Well,
It's not.
it's so, you know, the discussion about, you know, alleged rigging, like for instance of the primary, 2016, the Democratic primary. I mean, what do you call superdelegates, for instance? Just that concept alone. How can you say that I'm voting before the actual election happens? It doesn't make any sense, you know. And what is your take on that?
Well, that's a good, well, if you're super, you gotta flaunt it.
Yeah, I guess so. Like a superhero, right?
Gotta show who you are.
Yeah,
Why I oughta.
Who else is gonna call him super?
that's right.
I mean, when the election's over, they're gonna forget about the super. They're gonna,
Well, you know, back like in
Superinflated egos,
superinflated
too.
egos.
that took them past, didn't they?
Ego needs
Well,
to.
well, you can go all the way back to like 1944 with Henry Wallace, you know, who was.
Oh, what a hatchet job they did on him.
Yeah, I know,
Woo!
right?
Good, yeah.
And you know, and of course,
The other thing is, Lincoln was the first Republican ever elected, right?
like, yeah, that's right, that's right.
Before that, it was the Whigs.
And just because, you know, Henry Wallace was a socialist and a pacifist, you know, the business people that made the atomic bomb were thinking, oh, well, we can't test this now if we have a president that's a pacifist. What do you think about that? That's a historical thing that we didn't get in school, but if you think about
That's
it.
not an actual quote you gave us.
What's that?
That's not an actual quote you gave us.
A quote? No. But he was a pacifist.
I know he was a
Yeah.
president, and he was a wonderful progressive.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know that the fascists did say, we can't have Wallace in there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Passive and passive.
We can't say it's a quote. Yeah, yeah.
So doesn't that point to the idea that we've had a structured kind of duopoly of power between the Democrats and Republicans?
Well, it's the same thing as has always existed in Latin America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had the liberals or the conservatives,
Right.
and they both committed unspeakable acts,
Right.
but it was okay because they were doing it.
But even in American political history, you look at Democrat and Republican, even in foreign policy, liberal or conservative, during the Cold War era, the Red Scare, they were very close together, even up to today, if you look from a foreign policy point
Yeah.
of view. And as
Yeah.
I think you rightly said in the conference, regardless of the gentleman's response about uber alles, there's truth that we are an empire.
Yeah.
That is on the record, even the New York Times says so, which is not maybe a very proud thing, because by definition, empires are they're anti-democratic. So we have a contradiction.
Also, they don't last.
They don't last.
That's
I
right.
think people have to tell people that.
And I think we're on the decline, don't you?
Oh, God,
Seriously.
yes.
No.
Well, oh, of course we are.
No.
Economically.
We'll
I
probably
mean-
create World War III.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
It's not a permanent thing on the decline, maybe in the moment.
Well, it could be a
But we're gonna
decline
get out
before a
of it.
rise, depending on what the
We have-
transition.
We have to get out of it.
It all depends
You're
on
talking about a transition, even though there is a crisis.
Evolution.
if we
evolution.
surrender our ownership of the world, then maybe we'll last.
Yes.
You're right. So you cut defense spending by 50%, I believe, was proposed.
You cut the two-party duopoly.
Yeah.
Cut the duopoly. So you have, this is
Yeah.
what we call the crisis of legitimacy,
Yeah.
crisis of institutions. And institute obviously is everything, the whole bag, so to speak.
Right now, there's,
So
so,
you're
So
being
it's
under
stuck in your
surveillance.
pocket.
right now, there is a potential bill lurking in the Congress. And it has enormous numbers of supporters in both houses that to criminalize anybody who pushes the boycott bill on
Or
Israel.
the BDS
Oh,
movement.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To make it a felony, which
Yeah.
apparently has been argued
Like
that.
20 years in prison,
Right.
hundreds of thousands of dollars fine.
Right.
Wow.
Now this, who is spinning whom?
Right.
Are we controlling Israel, or is it Israel controlling us?
That's a good point. Don't we give them something like $40 billion a year? And where does that money go?
Yeah.
And what are they required to do with that money? Buy our military?
Wouldn't that be another form of
That's
money in politics, though? Because now we're engaging domestic and foreign policy been fused together through money.
Yeah.
And that's one of the other problems we have in institutions, because people are saying, well, why don't we take care of ourselves first, take care of our economy, and get out of the empire business? But you have other overseas connections and businesses because we're a globalized economy.
Right.
And you got some very big, powerful players.
Right.
And it actually revealed itself with the Trump administration, where he says, well, his rhetoric was what? We're going to bring jobs back to America. And he played kind of the everyman rhetoric, when in fact he's the penultimate capitalist billionaire.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Who doesn't even
we're
treat his people well.
we're in an
Yeah,
age of
yeah.
irony. We're in an age of massive contradictions, and I think that leads to the political confusion we addressed earlier.
That's
How do
right.
we clear that up? And back to what you're saying, you should start with electoral system.
Yeah.
You know,
We need to get people into local offices on all levels. You know, focus on that and get people engaged.
I'll buy that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The confusion is also a strategy of the system, but we're going through it. The parties are breaking down into smaller
Right.
parties, and eventually people realize as those smaller parties become larger, they inevitably become infiltrated.
right.
Yeah.
So,
We don't have time for that.
I mean,
We're
we-
running out of time. We
or
know
we can just
a
have
lot of people have not recovered from the 2008 economic crisis. You know what I mean? And we have people that there's underemployed, re-unemployed, off the records. I mean, and 94% of the jobs that were created during the Obama administration were temporary part-time gig jobs.
Really?
And low wage.
94.
94%. That was, and those were the two economists that worked with Obama. So they're not, they're admitting that.
They're with 4.
Yeah. Yes, worked for Obama. There is a difference, right? And the Oxfam statistics each year keep getting worse and worse that they release in Davos, Switzerland every year in January. Last year, when I first reported it on my show, there was something like 80-some people had as much wealth as the bottom 50% of the world's population. This January, 8 people. I mean, and nothing's being done. There's no discussion about short-term or long-term solutions for that. What do you think about universal basic income? There's a pilot program actually
I like
in
that.
Finland right now that's actually working well.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Until and when we get accountable people in office, I don't trust anything that Congress pushes through or tries to push through or gridlock. I just don't trust the people that are in Congress right now. You follow the money, and they care about money and themselves more than we, the people.
I think you're addressing
So
a very
it's a
important
great-
issue.
Yeah.
Once we get accountable people in, we can talk about those issues and let people locally decide. If universal, that's what they want.
Yeah.
Let the people decide.
How would you, if you were designing, how would you redesign it to hold them accountable? So when they get elected, they cannot change their words or promises. That's the system we have.
That's a
Once
problem.
they get elected,
That's a huge
they
problem.
jettison the voter and then kind of go on autopilot.
I mean, term limits is definitely something
Yeah.
that would
Term
probably,
limits.
with accountable people in office, let's serve one term, it's a duty, it's not gonna be, it's gonna be a tough job, not big money pension payouts, which is the way it is currently and shouldn't be. These multi-million-dollar gold semi-plaintiff, whatever pensions are definitely a big reason why we're in a
Yeah,
deficit too.
the corporate
So-
subsidies that, and the people, like for instance, if Obama had given everybody $30,000 instead of bailing out the banks, we'd be in a whole different situation right now. And I want to wrap this up real quick. We've got about a couple of minutes or so. I think a long-term solution, to get your view on this, is the workers taking ownership of the means of production, whether that's factories, offices, stores.
What society did that work in before? And why wasn't it maintained? It was
Yeah.
practically employed, wasn't it?
Well,
in Italy right now.
In Basque region, Spain,
Yeah.
Catalan's most
Yeah.
famous.
Right.
Which was successful, actually,
That's
which
right.
was obviously during the height of the Civil War, too.
That's right. That's
But
right.
right now, Mondragon in Basque right now is a multi-billion-dollar, up and running
Yeah.
community, it's like a federation of them.
And they have
Mondragon?
Mondragon in Spain, in
In
Basque
Basque
region. In fact, there's a
region of Spain.
USA version. I believe the United Steelworkers are working with them to
Yes,
bring it to the
that's
United
right.
States.
They're working with them. They also have joint projects with Microsoft as
Right.
well as General Motors, and they right now have over 75,000 people in their cooperative total. Hundreds of companies. They have a university, a bank, an IT department. Italy actually has the most cooperatives because the government actually has a more thorough law that they offer support for people to help them create the worker cooperatives. So guess what? They have the most. So it can be done, and
There's no political will.
That's right.
Like everything else.
and Democracy at Work is the organization now that's working to create that advocacy and encourage people to create those groups. So
Well, solutions-wise,
Yeah.
we were at the beginning in this, before we went on the air, you talked about the youth, right?
yeah,
And
quickly, how can we get
solutions
the youth engaged?
Because, we can talk all these problems all day long, but what do we do to fix it? I mean, I don't know about you, but I am tired of the problems.
Well, let's
that we're not-
continue this conversation in another interview.
Sure. And briefly, the 18 to 28-year-olds are the game changers. And
That's right.
when they come out, you have no jobs, you have nothing to do, you have low paying, right?
Yes,
You're
yes.
saying, run for office. I ran for Secretary of State at 27 years of age
Great.
for California, and you can run, you can run, you can
That's
run,
right.
anyone can
Any-
run.
we all
And
can run.
They're the ones that are gonna come out, I foresee, and vote like they never have before. And how's that gonna happen? Dr. Ron Paul once said, I like to switch his quote around, finally. If we're ever going to bring about revolutionary changes, I like to drop the R and say evolutionary changes. Two things would need to be involved. The youth and music.
I like
That's
that.
what's going to
Yeah,
happen.
I like that.
United we
That
stand.
works with me.
Festival, music is the key. That energy, that frequency that brings us all together. Let's make it fun to run for office and get engaged and become
agree.
informed and educated. So, any more words, Ed?
Final thought, Ed?
No, not listening.
Well, thank you so much, George Kallas,
Thank you very
Christina
much.
Tobin, Ed Asner. This is Niswander. You've been watching the Nowman Show at Politicon.
Well, I just wanted to touch base real quick and talk a little bit about what I've been up to in 2021. I've been working on some documentaries. I'll show you a little clip from one here in a moment. And other projects I can't really elaborate on right now, including quite a bit of content that I created when I visited Indianapolis, Indiana. Visited some historical locations and performed my music at the Melody Inn while I was there as well. Visited the Pop Machine recording studio where I recorded my second album. And well, I'll give you a little sample of all of this work that I've been doing.
In this location, in Broad Ripple of Indianapolis, I lived here from 1997 to 2007. So I definitely wrote songs for both of my albums, Revolution of the Heart and Adventures in Wonderland, in that room right there. And yeah, this is the house. Niswander here, and I'm back in the Pop Machine. Finally.
We've missed you.
I've missed being here. Oh man, it's so great to see Eric Johnson here. I mean, this is we have done so much work together.
Yes.
I'm very proud of the work that we did together.
Likewise.
And thank you. I really appreciate that. And Eric here has done so much great stuff in this studio with people that you might know, like John Wade and Supergrass and Smithereens and Tiffany, for all you
That's a long time ago.
teeny bopper people. Who's been here in more recent times?
I'm doing a record with, Mark and I are doing a record with Amelia Ray. She's a Disney artist, and she's on the show Sydney to the Max. We're doing her record.
And that's on the Disney Channel, or was?
Yeah, Sydney. Yeah, it's a and we're doing her debut solo album. We just did the new Sublime record in March.
Wow. It's Sublime
with Rome.
With Rome, yeah.
Rome Ramirez.
Yeah.
And so that's interesting. So a couple things about that. They cut everything in the same room, everyone in the band, and they had Gabriel McNair with them as well. Gabriel plays with Gwen Stefani and No Doubt.
Oh,
He's
really?
a trombone player and keyboard
Oh,
player.
wow.
And
So he's their regular keyboard guy?
Yeah.
On the road and everything in the studio?
Yeah, and in the studio, yeah. And he lives in Norway.
Norway, wow.
Yeah. And
so he's not an Orange County guy at all.
No, I mean, like the guy. It's so funny. The band that's known for Long Beach,
Right.
doesn't live really in Long Beach. Like Eric lives in Escondido or Fallbrook, one or the other.
That's going to be San Diego County.
Yeah, right there. And he lives on an avocado farm, I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know him, you love him. He's from here, but he's been to far corners of the earth. He's back here now for the first time in a very long time, and I'm excited to play with him on a couple of songs later in the set. Yeah, you know him, you love him, and ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Nowman Niswander.
In the first part of October, and I was on my laptop, and I saw this meme. It was an aerial shot of Wall Street, and it said, according to the media, nothing is happening here, just move on.
I think that each Occupy in North America should send people out there to occupy Wall Street.
It's the only other way to get your voice heard if you don't play the game the way it's been played with lobbyists, congressmen who are too much influenced by lobbyists, corporate money.
I'm here at the Occupy LA today, talking to some people, sharing some ideas, and it's good seeing people come out and support and just kind of bring that sense of community back.
Because remember that we are all atoms that vibrate at the very core of who we are as human beings.
I saw the same thing in New York, Occupy Boston as well as Occupy LA that focuses on corporate greed. It talks about individual liberty, it talks about social justice, it talks about democratic accountability, especially the 1% who own 40% of the wealth.